Welcome to Inside the Vault, Enterprise Bank's podcast series where we talk about items of interest to the small business community. With me today is a longtime personal friend and a longtime friend of Enterprise Bank, Juan Garrett, who is the Executive Director of Riverside Center for Innovation. Juan, welcome to Inside the Vault.
Welcome, and thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Sure. So before we start talking about Riverside Center, for our viewers and listeners' benefits, I'm going to refer a lot to RCI, which is a lot easier to mention on the fly than the full name. But before we start talking about RCI, Juan, can you give us a little bit of your background and your involvement with the organization?
Sure. So Juan Garrett here. I'm the Executive Director here at Riverside Center for Innovation, as Dave said, RCI. I'm actually born and raised here in Pittsburgh, actually the city of McKeesport, still live there. Went to Robert Morris University for accounting, started off in nonprofit for a community development company in Homewood, actually before I moved over to, actually our legal name is Northside Industrial Development Company, before I moved over to there. So I've been there since 1991. And it really worked my way up through the ladder from an accounting to the executive director's position to today.
Yeah, and we were talking offline. You and I have known each other from my days at the SBA in a prior life when you first became involved with RCI since the early 90s. But you've been executive director now for how long?
Since 2016, I became the executive director. And as you said, in those early days, we won a business information center when
That's
we
right.
started at the SBA. So that's really how it took RCI to that next level.
Right. So let's kind of dig in. So give us a little bit of history of Northside Industrial and Riverside Center for Innovation.
Sure. So Northside Industrial Development was established in 1983, and it was the community development for real estate development in the city's north side. In those early days, it was the development group. We did housing development, commercial development, worked in the neighborhoods, participated in neighborhood community meetings. And we were one of those leading organizations in the 90s. There was about 5 organizations throughout the city that received funding to do development in those community, those areas. And the reason we were hired because our organization took on some really aggressive development projects. And in the 80s, things started happening nationally, so some of those projects began to falter. So we had this building, Riverside, and that was one of the first buildings that was on the list that we said we should probably not continue to do it, but it was under construction. But it stayed in, and we did a real estate workout for all the other projects. And then next thing you know, we looked up at the late 90s and said, wait, we got this incubator here and we got these startup companies, and next thing you know, some of them are really booming and starting to do. So we really did a focus in a think tank with one of our companies and refocused and rebranded to Riverside Center for Innovation. And let's just focus on small and diverse businesses to get help. Because at that time, technology was real big and everybody was focusing in on tech companies, but who was really here to help those Main Street businesses? So that was the role that we played, and we continue to play today.
So you guys kind of started out focused on kind of the north side neighborhood, but now you're kind of a regional resource.
Yes, we're a regional resource, mainly because of that business information center, because they were responsible for Western Pennsylvania. So we had to go back to our board to change our area and our scope to say Western Pennsylvania. However, we really don't do all of Western Pennsylvania, but we do at least Southwestern Pennsylvania, the 10 counties, 5 counties surrounding regions, where we have partners in those regions that we are able to work with. We like to collaborate a lot more so than trying to do things on our own.
Right. So how is RCI governed? I'm assuming you're a nonprofit and you have a board.
Yes, we're a nonprofit. We have a 12-member board today, which I could probably bring on 2 additional board members. But we are a nonprofit, 501c3, and we do have a 12-member board. We have 7 staff members. They're a great team that we have. We can't do this alone, but we also have probably about 60 resource partners we work with throughout our organization, where we're working not in silos. Because we can't do all of this and have the success we can by ourselves. So we pride ourselves on really finding other partners, and we have a saying that we like to add a spoke to that wheel to make that wheel just as strong. So it's
Okay,
not just
that's
us.
cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool analogy. So I always kind of looked at Riverside Center as kind of like two primary, let's say, um, resources. One is the building itself.
Yes.
And you guys, before co-working and incubators became buzzwords, you guys were in that early on. And then the second focus of RCI is resources for entrepreneurs and small business owners. So let's start with the building. So tell us about the facility and what you guys offer in terms of the incubator concept.
Sure. So that building, thanks to actually how we met Enterprise Bank, is now debt free, but really worked really closely with you all to bring on, so we could focus in on working with the entrepreneurs. Today we have about 45 startups in our business building, and they range from office sizes from anywhere from like 150 square feet to almost 5,000 square feet. Those are our anchor tenants. However, anchor tenants really aren't 5,000 square feet.
Right.
But we do have some really good companies that have come through there, really great companies who graduated and are still continuing to work, which we do stay in touch with them. Some of those owners may have exited out and
Yeah,
sold.
successes for you are businesses that outgrow
Yes, yeah, yeah, they
the
outgrow.
incubator.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so we do a little bit of shared services. Those are dying needs in today's world because
Technology. Yeah.
technology is there. But we do offer virtual offices and mailbox services for companies. So we have probably about 15 of those companies. So we try to put resources around them to get them to coming into a space. And so we work with companies and even help them find space when it's time for them to move out. No need in letting them try to do these things on their own. We have these networks. So we are open 24 hours with security so you can get in and out. We offer free parking,
Which is a plus
which
anywhere
is
in the city,
exactly
particularly in the North Shore, North Side.
exactly. And you're 5 minutes walking into downtown, so you save on parking cost. And
And you got some cool amenities
oh
in the
yeah.
building
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
yeah. There's a little exercise facility in there. We have a shared kitchen and we offer those services, coffee and tea and things free. We do some networking events in the past. After the pandemic, a little people are still a little nervous about being around large crowds, but we do offer those types of services as well.
So, give our viewers and listeners kind of an idea of some of the types of businesses that are tenants in the building in the incubator.
Sure. So we have companies that range in these types of industry sector from health and human services. Some of them are our BizFIT companies. We have a lot of, we focus in on our entrepreneurial training in the construction industry, which we say is built environment. We have about 4 or 5 of our companies that have really are very successful. They're located in the building. We have technology companies in the building, consulting firms, insurance companies. We try to put in accounting firms, HR firms. What we try to do is really focus on the needs of a small business. So
So they have some of their, let's say, potential partners or resources
it's
right in the
resources
building with
right in
them.
our building, exactly. So it's easy. We have people who do notary services as well. So for a small business, it's really hard. But now there's like 2 or 3 people in the building that do notary services. We have accounting firms that you could just. It's easy. You know who they are, so you build that trust along who they are. Insurance companies, HR firms. So it's a great mix the way that we're able
Yeah.
to look at things.
And you guys obviously, from a rental perspective, try to be affordable for
Yes,
smaller
yes, yes, yes.
businesses.
Requirements because we took certain funding. We must be below market rate rents. So we don't charge with the downtown rates. We're probably less than some of the other co-working spaces as well. But again, our goal is to really not take money out of the pocket of the entrepreneur, but make sure that they can put that back into the business needs that they need. So our goal is to make you grow and then being able to become that successful organization.
Do you have any space available right now?
I think we have maybe 2 spaces,
Yeah.
believe it or not, in this climate. We're probably about
Which
98%
for the
leased.
office market
Well,
is
yeah,
tremendous.
exactly. So what we're trying to do now is find we have like a couple of little small offices, but we're going to be using those with some of our partners to hopefully locate there, which will help elevate not only the access to the tenants, but also as a partner with RCI to take us to another level as well.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. So that's kind of a good background on the physical plant and what's available to people from a physical business location
Yes.
perspective. Now, I know you got RCI's got their hands in all kinds of things in terms of training and resources for small business. So let's talk about that side of it. I mean, there's some kind of ongoing programs you have, and then there's a lot of kind of special projects you guys work on.
Yes. So on the ongoing programs, one of our signature program is our BizFIT Entrepreneurial Training Program, which is a three-tiered system that we have. When we reached out to some of the primes, when we looked at it in the construction space, the goal is to find out what why minority construction firms weren't being included on larger projects. And from my point, I thought it was going to be their skills. And I thought we can't teach people how to swing hammers or do all of
Right.
that. But when we reached out to some of the partners that helped with the training, it was all back office. And I thought, wow, we could do this. So I think this might have been one of the first times in the construction industry where an organization asked the contractors and primes to give us the curriculum and help us work on the curriculum because you knew where the gaps were. So we realized it should be a three-tiered system. And I always refer to it as almost like education. When you go, or tier three is our bottom tier, which let's relate that to elementary school. In elementary school, you learn your ABCs and numerals and
Hmm.
how to add. That's the basic business plan. And then once you put that business plan together, we say, are you still interested in really focusing on your business? So in tier two, which is like middle school, you just get enhanced what you learned in elementary school and middle school. And that's what we do. We take a deep dive into that business plan where every one of the primes in this region help us teach those courses over a 4-month period. And so now you're getting to a better focus. And in the construction industry, a lot of times diverse businesses or small businesses always say, I'm a general contractor.
Right.
Are you really a general contractor? Not really. So our focus is how do we make you the best at the trade that you're best at? So we try to make you refocus to become an electrician, to become a roofer, to become HVAC, carpenter, concrete specialist. And that's how you are able to grow your business because technically you're not a general contractor. Generals are the big companies that are
Right.
out there, the big primes. They have departments.
Yeah.
You and 2 or 3 other individuals that have that on the side of your truck, we try to make you focus in. And now, when you get done with that, we partner with the University of Pittsburgh's SBDC, the Institute for Entrepreneurial Excellence, and then we do a Power to Prosper program where it's focused in on construction. So they then take your business plan, rip it apart, help you map out to get to $1 million in
And that's
revenues.
the top
That's the
tier.
top tier one.
Okay.
And that's really like high school. High school's preparing you for life.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? So now we have that curriculum and we collectively both work together to get those companies to reach that $1 million mark. And then we noticed lately several of them have surpassed the $1 million. So what's next for that? So we decided in some research, let's create a new program called REEF, and that acronym is RCI's Equitable Entrepreneurship Facility, which is two
Okay.
components. We take a deep analysis of those top companies. So right now we serve about 2,000 businesses throughout the region, and that number continues to grow. However, we want to say out of those 2,000, which of these firms, through these assessments and those as owners, want to become job creators in the region. And now we are designing a new program and curriculum in partnership with the Master Builders Association, Turner Construction, Macera Corporation, and
So
some
really getting
others.
in the weeds.
Right. And really taking analysis and saying, here's these gaps. We know in the construction industry, to really grow your business to the next level, you got to become a signatory to your trade. And so that's why we have the unions. And what are those things you need to have in place to become that? For instance, the unions, you find somebody in the apprentice program. So sometimes the workers come through and they have better skill sets. And so that's really how you're able to grow, become a signatory to the trade. And then after that, how else can we help you with financing needs? Now, another way to grow your business is through business acquisition. So, with this REEF, the facilities piece is to create a new type of inflexible fund where we can put lending opportunities and help you with equity investments to purchase a business that might not have a succession plan. And that way you can bring on back office support, additional workers through those types of
So it's kind of a
acquisitions.
second stage growth program.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And to get them to that next level. And how do we partner with lenders in the region so that we could build these organizations, these companies to get to that next level? And there's things you got to have in place in the unions. You have to have a major line of credit, at least 250 to 300,000 or more
For bonding
for
purposes.
their bonding purposes and for payroll
Payroll, yeah.
purposes. Now, one of our firms at Macero Corporation, Joe Macero mentioned to me at once that they have to have buckets of financing, and he gave me an example why. So we incorporate this in our curriculum to tell if you're on a project and say it starts June 1st, you submit your invoices at the end of June. You give it to the developer, and it may take them 30 days.
Got a lot of payrolls in between there.
Exactly. And you may not get paid till August.
Right.
So you're still waiting to get paid from June. So you need payroll. And if you're in the union, you got to pay those fees for the benefits
Right.
and everything else. There's a lot in between. And so you need to have that. So we try to make people get educated before you make that leap into that. However, if you do make that leap, you can then be somebody that's great at the trades and be the best at who you can be at that trade.
Right. So when is this new higher tier program going to roll out? The REEF program.
And we actually started working on it now, but we're in the process now of putting the pools of funds. So we've identified 10 companies right now that we're working with, doing an analysis. We have a partner, 17th Asset Management. They're out in New Jersey. And so they're helping us look at the assessments of the financials and identifying projects. The key piece for this is what projects can we help you with the actual funding? So we know what the projects are going to be, and we help them get to that next level. So it's not that we're raising the money, putting the money into the company, and hoping something was going to happen.
You're
There's-
helping them identify
yeah,
contract
they
opportunities.
already have the contract opportunities put in place to help them get to that next level. So we have about 60 companies we've identified today in our pipeline to being able to do this, but it's not going to be all 60 at once.
Right.
So you got to have all those things. So we've been working with other individuals that we've been finding out how do we build a very true mentoring protege program. Trying to work with some of the mid-size to the big-size primes to come in, because at this point, our entrepreneurs are going to have other questions that we can't answer. And so if you have that mentoring protege, you can be able to do that. So we're hoping that the Master Builders Associations and the other primes can help and jump on board with that, along with some individuals who set up great mentoring protege programs who are retired and
Yeah.
who want to give back.
So how many BizFIT's been around now for how long?
Since 2015.
Okay. Just ballpark. How many people have gone through the companies have gone through the
That's
program?
where the 2,000 number is coming
Wow.
in.
Wow.
We get at one point in one height, we had almost 400 people registering throughout the year. We were graduating like 60 people in different tiers.
Wow.
In its height. We're back down to the normal numbers, a little bit around 100 a year. We're getting
Yeah.
people, and then they just go through. But some fall off because some, I hate using this term, but a side hustle. And
Yeah.
that's all some companies want, is that better knowledge of being able to run a side hustle. Then some are coming on and they say, oh, we have 2 or 3 employees that we're trying to. So those are the firms we want to elevate to that next level. So we have served over close to 2,000 businesses that since we've been operating this program.
So obviously heavy construction focus
Yes.
in BizFIT, which is, a big gap.
Yes.
In general, for small businesses in general or minority businesses, which is a heavy focus for RCI, what other types of training and
We
resources?
actually do 2 components. One of
Okay.
our funders came and said, you're doing that well under the construction. Can you do this for non-construction and products and services? So again, we do partner with Pitt. We do have another tier 1 that's just on products and service side. So we do have a tier 2, They split after tier 3, and we do 2 sessions on tier 2, one construction, non-construction, and the same thing for tier 1. So we have great caterers who have come through. We have cleaning companies. Some are on the construction side, post cleaning and
Yeah.
those types, but we have regular cleaning companies. We have people who make clothing, food trucks. And some of those, we have people that do products and services. Young lady who just graduated, she does uh, very unique. She makes posters of very iconic features and scenic things in Pittsburgh to sell to corporations to put in their lobbies. We have photography firms.
Hmm.
So people come through on that side as well. Now, on that goal is how do we put some of those companies back as Main Street businesses in the region? Main Street is the backbone of the
Right.
country and job creators. But when you look in our region, some the disinvestment that happened in some of our targeted communities, the Main Street buildings are vacant. There's a big push for energy and data centers. But when you look at the entire ecosystem, affordable housing needs to be a place. Corner stores, how do we make sure that people have access to stores and the things you need in the community? Hence why we use the term built environment. That encompasses a lot of the things that neighborhoods should have.
So you mentioned partnerships. So who are some of the kind of the primary partners that you work with in delivering any of the
Yeah.
services that you
Well,
guys?
well, one of our key partners is the University of Pittsburgh, the IEE.
Yeah.
We partner with the Neighborhood Community Development Fund and Progress Fund as well when we need. We partner with the city, the Allegheny County's Economic Development, the Urban Redevelopment Authority. Those are on those sides. But we also partner, again, with the Master Builders Association, all the major primes that we're able to utilize. Some of the other smaller ones that we work with Catapult Pittsburgh, where they do food. So we try to make
Okay.
sure some of our companies that are in food, we push them over to them because they do have shared kitchen services. That's something we don't offer, but we try to utilize them. We work with Community
So you're
Forge.
kind of a good traffic cop too
Yes,
for
yes,
entrepreneurs.
yes, exactly. And we do that connection. In fact, I have a company right now that's interested in doing some things in exporting. And so we want to work with the U.S. Trade Commission when they're ready to make that connection to do things in South America.
So what's the future look like for RCI? Then we're going to talk about short term and shorter term an event you have coming up,
Yeah.
and then get some.
Yeah. So when we look at where the gaps are in the ecosystem, so I'm always looking at that, looking at what's happening in other parts of the country and how they address what are these ecosystem gaps. And so that's what we started saying. We need to align ourselves with mission alike, maybe some national organization. One was in town years ago who really we had a good chance to work with and meet some of the smaller partners that we work with, some of the ones I already mentioned, and it's called Forward Cities. Their new president is someone from Pittsburgh that I work closely with as well when we designed BizFIT. Dr. Diamante Walker, who runs that now, they're out of Durham. And how do I build upon that relationship to understand some of the best practices that they have? We're going to be making an announcement in October. I can't give it away yet. October 13th and 14th, I believe, are the days. It's that Tuesday and Wednesday. And we're working closely with another national partner to come to the region that's going to be affiliated with REEF as well. So be ready to be invited to that event. And so as we're seeing, how do we take these companies and either bring them into Pittsburgh and potentially how does RCI begin maybe thinking about expanding into smaller urban environment cities to help our partners as well?
So the gist I'm getting is back when I started working with RCI in the early days, you guys did a lot with small startups, and you still do that.
Yeah.
But you basically cover the entire assistance during the entire life cycle of a business now
Yes,
with all these.
we call you our RCI family. So when you're in our family, and we don't let you go because you just never know. We had a meeting earlier today, and I said some of the companies that had graduated years ago just reached out to me. We offer OSHA 1030 training, so they're getting their employees trained. We understand in the construction, estimating, building, and blueprint reading is difficult. So we have partners, and now we run that as a specific series. One of the other programs that we run, which is called the the National Green Infrastructure and Stormwater Certification.
Lots of acronyms.
Yeah, exactly. So we offer that. We have 5 landscaping companies coming in to understand this is a really high-end certification, which can be competitive for them, because when we're talking about capturing stormwater and how do you build those different types of things. So, it's been raining a lot here in Pittsburgh and roads flood, but how do you encompass those techniques along roads so we can capture the stormwater to keep some of it from hitting our recreational rivers and is being refiltered back into the sites. So that's a program that we're running as well. And we do a lot with the EPA. I didn't even bring that up. We actually are as small of a company size staff. We are 7. We are EPA's Region 3 largest recipient of brownfield funds. We probably received, I think the number is about almost $9 million, and we've leveraged probably more than more than close to $1 billion in development projects. We go into communities in our target communities to say, in many community meetings we go to, and making sure there's a community plan to bring in those first phase 1s environmental, because most of the time developers have to come out of that money out of their pocket. We have this program, we work with the developers to jumpstart economic development. And at the same time, they usually bring along some of our BizFIT companies.
I was going to say, and then, when they
Right.
develop the project, they're looking for contractors and
right.
subcontractors.
Exactly. And so it's a good little ecosystem
Yeah.
piece that we have as a part of that component. In fact, one of our projects at the National Convention is in Chicago next week, which we attend. 2 years ago, it was in Detroit, and I was asked to present one of our projects for Region EPA 23, and we were selected as the 23 People's Choice Award for EPA Region 3
Wow.
for the project we did in the Hill District with the Hill CDC, the New Granada Square Apartments. And so, it's a lot of times we go into these communities, community buildings, building trusts, because you have to do that as well. And so those are our current things, but then how do we take these models, no need in keeping it in my head
Right.
or anything, but how do you take these models and move it to other communities that could participate in being able to help address some of these ecosystem building tools
Right.
that we have?
Yeah. So with all those great things happening, we have a very challenging political landscape for nonprofits right now, and some traditional funding sources for for some of the types of things you do are being strained. So you guys are doing your first or inaugural fundraiser here coming up, right?
Yes, I sit on many boards and help them do all kind of events. So now we have our first inaugural fundraiser called Blackjacks and Blue Jeans. We were sitting around with the team trying to figure out what do we want to do, and I was like, I don't want to do a golf outing. I want to do a gala. Everyone does that. Let's think of something new and unique. And I said, why don't we do something like Blackjacks and Blue Jeans? Let's take the corporate America and our sponsors who we're looking to, and being able to intentionally match our companies at an event that's fun.
Yeah.
And so some of the team that we have together, and they're like, we do hear that from a lot of people. We don't want to dress up anymore. Can we come casual? And so,
And can you do some business while
and
you're
you
there?
can do business and have fun at the
Yeah.
same time. And so on Friday, September 12th, we're having our first fundraiser, Blackjacks and Blue Jeans at Nova Place. Farrow's is one of our partners as well. And we operate a space in their CoLab 18. And I have been there for other events there. So I think the facility is going to be really a great place for this event. So we're going to have a live band, music, things from that theme, games, live games, great auction prizes, and prizes you'll win with tickets, not cash, but tickets and free drinks and food. And everything we touch is probably going to be close to about 98% of the companies we work with. So we want to showcase our company from the
Right.
caterers, even from the people who are cleaning, the people who are helping me work on this event, printing. We're going to talk to the people that we know that do the printing services. So it's going to be people we touch.
So it's kind of a showcase.
Yeah, it's
too.
going to be a showcase type of an event.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And the bank, we got involved.
Oh,
in-
yeah. You
we're-
guys are our sponsor
we're gonna
for
help
us. Thank
sponsor.
you. Thank you
So-
to all of our sponsors.
Yeah, and as I mentioned early on, we've had a between the bank and RCI 20 plus
20 years.
year relationship.
Yes.
And you've been great to us in terms of referring small businesses looking for capital. And with some of the contract financing and some of the unique types of financing we do, kind
Yeah.
of fits real well with what you guys do. But most importantly, before we break up here, how do entrepreneurs, small business owners get in touch with RCI, learn about whether they want to get involved with BizFIT or some of the specialty programs? How do they get in touch with you?
Sure. So our website is riversidecenterforinnovation.com. And so on the first page, if you're a small business, up in the right-hand corner, it says registration. So when you register right into our CRM. So we're going to capture some early data so we can help track your business. It might be a long information session, but again,
Helps you target the
it helps.
assistance.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then someone on our team will reach back out to you to find out exactly where your needs are. So we can say, this is what we offer. And these are the people that we can connect you to as you're starting to work. Sometimes they don't fit for us. So we do actually send them to
Refer out.
Yeah, refer them out. But for the most part, a lot of people do stay with us. They do start with our programs and they continue to be clients of ours. As I'm getting older and forgetful, I don't remember everybody. And it's just really nice when I go to somewhere, an event. I was in a grocery store once, and the lines were long, and I heard someone scream, "Is that Juan Garrett? Is that Juan Garrett from BizFIT?" And so it is really nice to
Yeah.
see that these companies are still out, and they still know, and they know that they can always
Right.
depend on us. So we have QR codes. You can reach us by internet. Our phone number is 412-322-3523. Just go through and click. We want to update. We're telling companies in today's world, embrace AI. So we're learning more about AI, and we need to utilize that ourselves for some of the gaps we have in staff.
Right.
And we got to be able to trust AI, and with some guidelines and boundaries
Yeah.
and safeguards you got to have in place. But we need to utilize AI. When I'm telling companies, you should embrace it, so I better start embracing it myself, so we can answer questions if people feel leery about those.
And as far as potential businesses that are interested in space in the incubator, they can access that
Yes,
through
you
the
can
website
access
too.
through the website.
And then the fundraiser.
And the fundraiser, actually, if you go on that website, the very first page that pops up, you'll see the fundraiser logo. So you can click on there, get tickets. We're still looking for sponsors. We'll be reaching out to everybody. We're looking for that to be a really fun time. And just come and relax. Sometimes, we don't get the chance to do that and not have that work-life balance. So we try to focus. There's that life part
Right.
that we want people to come out and enjoy.
So I with all of our guests, we ask for some kind of parting words of wisdom or advice. You've dealt with thousands of entrepreneurs over a couple of decades now, several
Yeah.
decades.
Yeah.
What's your biggest nuggets of advice for new or existing business owners and entrepreneurs?
Sure. One of our creeds is practice safety first. But I do want to just tell everybody, it's a hard journey out here, and you're going to get told no many times, but that doesn't mean that you should stop. Just learn to be able to accept no and to continue on, because one day yes is going to be very good for you. And you just
For the
never.
persistence.
Exactly. You got to be persistent about it and don't say no, but don't be a pest about it either. Just keep telling yourself, always go to networking events and network outside your groups. Find somebody new that you can network with, because you just never know who are in those audiences.
It's a small world.
It's a very small world.
Once again, great organization, great programs and services, great facility. Juan, thanks so much for the insight.
Thank you, and thanks Enterprise Bank for everything you've done for RCI over the past 20-something years.
Excellent. For those of you that have any ideas for future episodes for Inside the Vault, or any questions about the podcast series, you can email us at insidethevault@enterprisebankpgh.com. You can check us out on audio format on all the major podcast platforms and in video format on YouTube. Thank you for watching or listening.